Uh, Welcome to Blogging 101. This video is to help you learn a little bit about why blogging is important in this course and why blogging in general is important to few educators. So a big question we always get is why blog? What is the purpose of blogging and why do we encourage teachers to create their own blogs? Now, blogging has changed over the years where if you're doing more social posting like on Twitter or Facebook, blogging is not necessarily as important. But one of the things you have to keep in mind for your purpose in this class is blogging for other classmates and your instructor. But when you start blogging for your classrooms and the parents of the students in your classroom, the different audiences will differ on your message. So one of the big things, the reason why this is important to my class is that you want to encourage a guided, a safe environment. You want to create a place where students feel like they could communicate with you, pose questions to you, read information that you're sharing with them. Some of us might work in school districts that have learning management systems like Canvas, Schoology, or Blackboard. So we can have conversations just with a small group of the kids who are actually enrolled in our courses. But for those of us who don't have those types of tools, the blog is one of the best ways. We want to model the appropriate way to communicate online. A lot of our younger students or even our older students are when they communicate online, they're not necessarily using academic language or they're not necessarily using even sometimes proper English when they're writing out what they're saying. So we want to be able to give a space where we're publishing stuff to set a bar or set an expectation on how we want them to communicate with each other and you online. We want to extend the conversation. A lot of times teachers will use blogs to continue the lesson or provide resources to more. So maybe you go over, you're introducing the Civil War in your class and you want to provide them with some more follow-up activities or resources like videos or maybe podcasts. And so you can do that very easily via a blog. And it can help you act like a digital native or a digital resident, which means our students are creating online content all the time. They're creating Musical.ly's, YouTube accounts. They're sharing photos on Instagram or making small videos on Instagram. They're creating online content all the time. This is your opportunity to create online content to help you get closer to understanding what your students are doing. And that's really where we are. We're meeting our students where they learn. Our kids are learning on YouTube. They're looking up videos on how to do things on YouTube. They're looking, researching. They're asking Google a lot of questions, and they're getting all types of answers, and appropriate, inappropriate, credible, and non-credible. But this helps you get closer to where they are learning if you're creating online content. This is a good graphic to take a look at the reason why blogging is kind of important in this day and age. If you see the size and frequency in this chart, and in the past, the frequency of information was a little slower because it was more information. It was, books. We had to wait for books to be published. Magazines, we had to wait for them to come out. But as we get closer to the point where you see more frequent and smaller amount of information, this is kind of where we live now. We live in this area where many of us are looking for those short blurbs as headlines, that small piece of information, but we're looking at it more frequently. If you take a look towards the middle, you'll see newsletters, and newsletters is not where we are anymore. We are getting closer to blogging, more immediate feedback. Parents might not no longer want a monthly newsletter from the teachers their kids are in, the classrooms their kids are in. They want to know more immediate. They want more frequent communication. So blogs allow you to do these more frequent communications, more frequent announcements, so parents aren't waiting until the end of the month to learn what their kids are doing, but they're actually being informed as the events are happening. We are getting used to that in our society for quicker, more immediate types of feedback. As teachers, we need to make sure that we can modify our practice to meet parents in the middle or give them more information quicker. So, why blog? Short, regular updates. Replace that monthly newsletter. You can keep all your information in one resource, one place. You can include multimedia, right? You can embed video, you can embed podcasts, you can embed audio, you can take advantage that you didn't have with print medium. And you can address multiple audiences. For example, if you create a class blog to share with your students, the parents are also going to be able to benefit from that. And you're also going to be able to share that blog with your colleagues to maybe inspire them to take on more blogging. It's easily to monitor. Parents can subscribe to your blog. So anytime that you post a new announcement, they get an immediate email. If you choose to, you can turn on the comments and you can allow for feedback for this. Remember, you can also moderate your comments, so you can make comments available just for internal communication. You don't have to make any of them viewable by your readers. Searchable text, you can always go back and search for what you said maybe 2 years ago, or the resources or the things you did. I'm going to go over a couple best practices, something to keep in mind as you're creating or thinking about the blog space. You want to define your audience. So for this class assignment, you're actually going to be writing it for your graduate colleagues and future employers. I feel strongly that you need to create an academic, social presence online. Many of the superintendents and HR departments are Google searching future employees. They are looking to see what type of presence you have. I've worked with a superintendent who very much looked to see if a teacher had an online presence, if they had blogs, if they were using Twitter to share content, instructional content, academic content. This made her feel more, if she found a presence, then she felt that the person was ready for our one-to-one school district. It's important to make sure that you're putting out something out there that is searchable and shows others that you're doing reflective, you're doing academic work. We need to know about you. So part of your blog will have to include an About Me page. About Me pages make these blogs credible. If I go to a blog and I can't find anything about the author, or I don't even know who the author is, immediately I don't think it's a credible source. And we want to train our students to feel the same way. So you want to make sure that your blog is credible. You want to make sure you have an About Me page that talks about you as a graduate student in education, learning how to integrate technology. You want people to understand where you're coming from. You want to read and share other blogs. This is the best way to create a network of other people. You're going to create a blog in WordPress.com. And in this blog, you're going to have the opportunity of searching and following other WordPress.com bloggers. Many of them are educators. So you can find other educators that are like mind and like interest, and you can follow them to get inspiration. Including a call out or a shout out to their blogs in your blog is also a great way of making connections. You want to share what's happening in your classroom. You are going to be sharing what's going to be happening in your online classroom for ED 554. But imagine that if you were doing this for your classroom blog, you'd want to get as many pictures or many things on there that can show parents the awesome things you're doing. Don't show us, show us. Show us, don't tell us. You have the ability to share videos. You have the ability to share pictures. Make sure that you're not only using your blog to write narratives and reflections about what you're doing, but also include some real artifacts of your work. Share student successes. If you were creating a blog for your classroom, you'd want to highlight some of your student work. A great way of doing this that people have done is they pick a student every month to have a star student, and that student actually has their own blog post on the blog. You want to be honest and be sincere. You want to make sure that you are being very honest about what you know and what you don't know, and be sincere and honest. You want to write blogs not like telling what you think your professor wants to hear, but being very honest and sincere. This will go a long way of creating a nice social network. Get shared, bookmark, and tweet. You want to make sure that you're sharing your stuff. People are reading it, people are bookmarking it. If you really want to get into blogging, this is really important to your success because you want people reading what you're writing. Share what works. Also, share what doesn't work. If other teachers read your blog, they want to learn from your experiences. They want to learn from what you've been able to do. And so sometimes sharing what doesn't work is a great way to do this. And you want to focus on content over aesthetics. There's a lot of bells and whistles you can put on a blog, but what most people are looking for is an honest, sincere reflection or ideas being shared, stories being told. That's what really makes the blogs readable. And finally, I'll leave you with this. Hopefully you've seen the Bloom's taxonomy of learning many times, but one of the things I bring this up because as we start talking about integration of technology, we want to also focus on the top end of the pyramid. And the blog space is in the space of creation. If you give students a space where they can communicate, where they can share and reflect, you are allowing them to create something. In a protected environment or in an open environment, it doesn't matter. They have that opportunity to create. And you'll notice right below that evaluation, if they're in there reflecting on what they're learning, what they're doing, they are at the top level of the Bloom's taxonomy. Hopefully this was a great introduction to blogging and why we feel in ED 554 that this is important enough to make it an assignment for you.